Hello, in this POPUPOLOGY tutorial, I'll be showing you how to fold the Paris Skyline design from my Origamic architecture pop-up card range that is available online. So once you have downloaded your template and cut it, you should end up with something that looks like this. And as you can see, as with all the other skylines, you have some really interesting layered effects with all the building structures and facades. This particular technique of origamic architecture lends itself perfectly to cityscapes and also to facades of buildings. So they do end up being some of the most visually intriguing designs. So do check out all the other skylines in the range, including London and New York. New York being my personal favorite. But as always, in order to begin the folding, what we do is just establish a baseline fold, which is the perforated section here under my thumbs, whilst at the same time just pressing evenly across our back plane, but just to get to a very shallow degree of fold, as you can see here. My other digits, whilst I'm holding with a kind of supporting pinch these two sides of the card, my 3 digits from the back are just literally almost stroking along these volumes in the center, but working towards the sides in towards the center. And you can see already some of the shapes starting to emerge. But you don't want to overfold at this stage because you start to develop certain buckles and the paper tends to get damaged. So we want to evenly, across our design, always keep on incrementally developing our folds, and as much as possible in conjunction with one another. So the next stage is to go to the foreground and just using similar, just little isolated pushes from the back, just develop these building sections. And again, all you're doing really is just tiny incremental movements, almost caressing the paper into shape. And the more gentle you are, but in a way firm, the less likelihood of any buckling happening along your connective structures and planes. And just keep an eye out for the overall development of your folds and see where you need to just catch up. So i.e., in this case, in this area here, we just need to pop this building forward. Those sometimes those little chimney elements or details can snag, so just bear that in mind when you pop those bits forward. And we want to be getting to a not quite 90-degree fold stage before we start to zoom in on our Eiffel Tower section here in the middle. And you do this by just zooming in with our thumbs and doing the same kind of process as before on our original baseline, which is the spine of our card, and just repeating that process in the middle. So just hold those baselines at the intersection of those of that plane there with this horizontal and vertical plane, and we want to be establishing the first tier, so effectively creating a mounting fold on the first level of our tower. And again, you just want to stop short of actually full development to 90 degrees before moving on to the next layer. And again, it's just a very gentle push, and although it didn't happen in this case, but sometimes that tower section can snag, so just make sure that if it does, then just adjust the tower section and release it from its aperture behind it. And as you can see, if I zoom out again into our whole piece, we've got quite similar development across our entire design, which is what we want. And we can now concentrate again back to our original baselines on applying equal pressure across our back section or back plane, and you do this just by incremental small nudges forwards, whilst at the same time, as you can see, my thumb's fixing on these baselines, and it will just bring our entire design forward without any undue pressure concentrating on a particular area. But you can see already that there is a tiny element of curvature here, so once that starts to happen, you will need to come back to the foreground and start to develop things further in the front. So we're literally catching up with our folds wherever we lag behind. So again, we start to develop the foreground areas, and again go to these side buildings, and then again go back to our baseline. And at each stage is nothing dramatic that's happening, but actually you are developing the card, and it's worthwhile taking a bit longer over these folding processes and getting a beautiful crisp result at the end. But at this stage now, we are almost at the 90-degree fold, which you can see if I hold the card in profile. And what we can now do is just support the card in one hand. I'm left-handed, so you might want to do this in reverse, but just see which hand feels more comfortable. And at this stage, we can actually start to bring the entire planes forward by just almost grabbing hold of it with a quite firm grip, almost like a pinch across the planes, and just moving, shifting these areas forwards. If I hold it like this again, you can kind of see how I'm doing this. You can do it with either a thumb or index finger, whichever kind of feels comfortable to you. So it's not necessarily going to be exactly the same configuration for you, but you need to find what works. But what you're effectively doing is, in isolated areas where you see that it's lagging behind in development, you just want to at this stage now start to pinch with a movement like this, or with a movement with your thumb like so, whatever works for you. But the main purpose is to suddenly kind of go over that 90-degree fold stage, and then you will see that our piece is almost ready for total collapse. So again, I'm just going along and adjusting in every area across the shapes, and at the same time, as you're developing those folds, and as you can see it's getting more and more closed, you want to be sort of catching up with your supporting hand, and just each time you reach a new gradient, as it were, or a new angle, you just want to kind of close it up behind, so your supporting hand is actually keeping pace with the foreground adjustments. And indeed, very soon you'll start to get to a phase where you're ready for collapse. But you can actually, if you turn the card around, you can also adjust these areas with gentle pinching, and just make sure that you're starting off from the base and then emanating your pressure applied outwards or in this orientation towards the baseline, and you'll see everything wanting to sooner or later come together. And you can actually feel that there is no resistance in the paper, and if something is snagging, then you need to just open it up again and just further adjust certain areas. But I can feel now that the resistance is gone and all the creases are established enough for me to go through a full collapse. And indeed, as we are at this stage, all that remains is just to tap down on our card to establish all the folds further. And if I now open it out, you should end up with something that looks like this. And of course, if the finish is crisp, then everything just comes together and holds its supporting structures, so you get a very nice light and shadow play. So at this stage, you are really ready to decorate or personalize your card if you wish. And also, to make most of that light and shadow play, you can, in order to also cover this void on the back, use a transparency paper backing sheet, which gives you some really interesting visual effects, which is why I always recommend using such a combination of papers. If I hold it up against the light, you can really see it coming to life through those interesting luminous lighting results. And of course, you can use different colored sheets. You can go to a much warmer color, which gives you again a totally radically different finish. But the main thing is really to, at this stage, experiment with different stocks. These papers are available online and also in craft shops, so just have a look around and experiment with a couple of paper selections. All you need to do is just attach your backing sheet with a couple of tabs of glue in the corners, and you're ready to go. So there you have it. Do have fun with this project, and check out all my other tutorials and videos available online, and hope to see you again soon. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.